good. Um, and Lefford will remind me. You feel free to remind me too, okay? If I don't answer until late next week, no, I'm in recovery. I'm loving it, but I will answer. So, here we go. I want to make a couple of announcements and then open the floor for you guys and Lefford for you to facilitate some core takeaway. Lefford is amazing. TED Talk. You could check out his TED Talk. And he coaches people in really owning their mission, their stories, and delivering their message on stage. So a chief, he works a very high level in the military now, or in the government. So it's such a privilege having you here as my co-host today. Thank you, brother. And then the other announcements I want to make is if you're just popping on, we're gonna have to come back to Denis Waitley's interview right at 1. We have the Napoleon Hill Foundation, Dawn Green. We're gonna be talking about things in Napoleon Hill's work like that we don't hear about as deeply as often from someone so close to the work, and that is sex transmutation, outwitting the devil, and any other questions that you all bring up in the space. And the last thing is, if you want to be able to access these replays for life, the videos, the audios, as well as to be in a private group with the speakers. And right now, this Facebook group, last I looked, it had 18 people in it, with well over half being the speakers. So it is a very intimate group. And after our event, they are going to be in there doing little pop-up Q&As, many of them. So it's $77.77 if you get that while the event's going on. Then it'll go up to $99 and may go up again. I'm not sure. But so definitely jump in there, because you can go in, share your ahas, start meeting people. All right, Lefford, I'm going to pin your video so we can recap the takeaways, get questions, facilitate some conversation. And I would start with Rue because he has his camera on. Robert usually does too.
Yeah, thanks, Adora. Rue has Rue. Is it Rue or Rui?
It's Rui.
Rui?
Yes.
Okay, because I heard different things. Well, thank you. And you had some great questions. And the question that I wanted to ask, did they answer what you were looking for when it came to, you're all teed up for the manifestation? What's next? Did you get that?
Yes, indeed. I understood the process that we need to do. Lots of patience. It's the main ingredient. And then after we do the triangle check, as Linda told us, we have. I figure out that we have other things to do. Okay, to stay in the high frequencies, high vibes, and lots of concentration on that. And I think it's not an easy job to do. I believe it's not an easy job,
right?
Because we have that timeline. Okay, you can put on your calendar the red ball around some date. Okay, but it's not depending on you. It depends on that coordination that Linda told us, universal coordination, and just have to be concentrated on that. Okay, but yeah, I understood, and the questions were all right answered. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. Well, thank you for asking the questions. A couple other things, and I think you decide what you want, you put a plan into action, and the part for me that I actually found that was the gap in my life is to accept it and receive it. Because what I found is that sometimes things will come and it'll be ours. She could have said no to the lady about, can you go on vacation with me? And she could have said no because I got this other thing I'm waiting on, instead of saying yes and then, oh, by the way, we're going to Hawaii. So I think sometimes we don't step out there on our faith. because there's such a thing as faith sitting there waiting. And I think applied faith is be there waiting, but when you notice it, step out into it. So
Yeah, you have to be the manifestation comes in strange ways. Yeah, and that's the secret of it. I think, yeah, the secret of it, and that concentration is okay. Maybe this is an opportunity. Maybe this is a sign that something is coming. Something of what I really want is coming. Okay, and you have to be open to that, to receive it, whatever it is,
right.
whatever it is. Okay, I think it's the main secret. Um, yeah, but sometimes we are distracted and we are so obsessed. Uh, I think it's the right word, obsessed with the things that we want in some way that we can't figure out. Okay, uh, this is strange, but let me see where it will take me.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Daryl, thank you again for the great question. I'm looking forward to when Don Green comes on in the next half hour because he's the Napoleon Hill guy, and he'll talk to you a little bit about deciding and have a burning desire. And once you have a burning desire, you have to have faith that what you're asking for, what you're looking for, is going to come to you. So thank you again. What are there any other questions from all this morning? Because there were so many wonderful things that I was thinking about during this whole process, and I'm. But it's not all about me. What else? What are you guys thinking about? Because if not, I'll just go back and do some talking. There was there's a question that I do this little exercise every time I'm on a conference, and it's called ACT. And I'll share it with you now. So for the rest of the day and the rest of tomorrow, it may help you take notes and help you get information. If you've ever heard of, if you know what ACT is, maybe everyone doesn't. You're going to hear something, or maybe you've already heard something that, you know, first time you've ever heard it, or you've never thought to do anything with it. And you say to yourself, hey, I need to apply this learning to my life. Apply. Um, Write it down and put an A next to it. Or get 3 sheets of paper and put A on one sheet of paper, C on one sheet of paper, T on another. And so if I apply this particular thing to my life will be a whole bunch better. The next sheet is a C. C. Um, I currently heard something that I don't currently do it this way. I'm going to change the way I do things. I'm going to change the way I do things and put a C next to it. And finally, you're going to hear something that is so good that you can't keep it to yourself, that you want to go teach or tell somebody else about, and then put a T next to that. And by the time this 3-day event is done, there will be some stuff that you're going to act on, that you're going to ACT, you're going to apply, you're going to change, and you're going to teach or tell. I've found whenever I do that, I have a certain list of things that I can do that'll help me manifest different things into my life, help me work on the process, and help me remember, because there are going to be so many good things out there. And another suggestion that I'd like to offer you, if Adora doesn't hit me with a stick for saying it, is be definite to say that I'm going to pick up 3 things from every speaker. Every speaker that comes on, there's 3 things that I can take away. And if we take those things away from us, we can actually change our lives, because we're really close to going into 2021. And you can reflect on the stuff that you learned during this 3-day event, And then you can say, these are some important things that I'm going to take from here into 2021. And if I take these things into 2021 with me and do something with it, I will be in a much better space 365 days from now. So I just wanted to make sure I share that with you guys. Any other questions from anyone that's on the call that we'll be able to address? Because we have about 20 minutes before Don comes on.
Lefford, sorry, just to recap, it's apply, change, and teach, the ACT, yes?
Yes, apply,
Okay.
change, teach, tell, or transfer. The T is teach or tell, because sometimes we don't feel like we're teaching anymore. We're just going to tell somebody that thing. And what I'd offer on that T part, maybe say, who are you going to teach? Who are you going to tell? One of the things for me in particular, whenever I teach somebody something or tell something, I get more out of it because I'm repeating it. It's not just getting in and staying, it's getting in and going out. And when I hear it again, when I'm telling it, it gives me more clarity on the topic. Let me see. Can I please have it? Adora, yes, I will. Welcome, Robert.
Yes, welcome. I just popped on and see what's going on. That's all. Keep talking. I'm listening.
Awesome. No worries. And I just got to see your face. I'd appreciate that. Now, Adora, do you mind? If people feel like it, can you pop on so I can see who I'm talking to? You could go right off. I just want to take a look at folks so it helps me remember, just in case I see out on the streets of Hawaii somewhere, in case I get to go and hang out with Linda. Okay, D. Appreciate you, sis. I love that. She's being safe. She got a mask on. Okay, we're the next person up. I don't know if there was a bio for Mr. Don Green or not. Don Green is the CEO of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, and he's been a part of the foundation for going on 20 years. And his whole mission in the Napoleon Hill mission is to make people have a better life. And I'm excited about this opportunity because I've been a follower of Napoleon Hill since the early 80s. But in 2018, I actually went and became certified in the Napoleon Hill Foundation. I actually met Don in 2017. And it is a great treat because most of the thought leaders in the world today will directly attribute much of what they do and much of what they teach to Napoleon Hill. So if you have questions, he's going to talk a lot about Napoleon Hill and his thoughts on sex transmutation. But if there's any questions that you might have on Napoleon Hill and his principles, I recommend you ask them, because I don't think there's anybody out there that knows as much about Napoleon Hill as Don Green, and which is pretty telling when you got people like Tony Robbins, who uses a lot of Napoleon Hill stuff, like Jim Rohn is gone now, but John Maxwell, when you got people like Darren Hardy, when you got people like Jack Canfield, when you got the biggest thought leaders in the world directly attribute what they do and how they do it to Napoleon Hill, that's amazing. But wait, I just see a message that Denis Waitley is in the building. Adora, Dennis is in the building. Hello, sir. Dennis, you are muted.
is in the building. There he
Yes.
is. Okay, everybody. Let's see. Let me pin his video. All right.
What up, sir?
Hello, Mr. Awesome.
Well, I'm not supposed to be on till noon, so I just came on to make sure that I worked here. I'm in a hotel room, actually.
Oh, it's not. I've got you. Well, that is my apology. Well, it's 12:45 here, so it's 12 Central. That was the miscommunication. So sorry.
No, sorry about that with all of you. Yeah, they turned off our power where I live, so the ice cold shower was not good enough, and the fact that everything melted in my freezer, so I came where there was hot water.
Well, you look handsome, youthful, vibrant. We're so happy you're here. And I told everybody, Dennis is usually 15 to 30 minutes early, so something is in the way that has nothing to do with him.
Right.
So it was me. I communicated in a miscommunication. So you're here now. Thank you so much.
But you were right, Adora. 15, 20 minutes early. He was 15 to 20 minutes earlier. Right on.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so those of you who don't know, Dennis, most of you do know, is an absolute legend in our industry of self-development, peak performance. He's most known for, he's one of the most listened to voices, and all around the world has one of the most soothing voices, has worked with Olympians, NASA, people at NASA, many of the thought leaders that we're accustomed to. But one of my favorite things about you, Dennis, is that your book, Psychology of Winning, you wrote it when you weren't feeling like a winner, and you have become known for how do we unleash that inner winner. And so what would you like to share with us today? Because I know you got fresh stuff on your heart always.
Well, the first thing is I'm not impressed with myself. So I left my ego at the door when I was maybe 12 years old. When my mother said, I pack your lunch with a chicken sandwich. And I said, but it's 2 pieces of bread, mayonnaise, and lettuce. She said, it's a chicken sandwich without the chicken. She said, you have to go to the store and get the chicken so that we can have chicken sandwiches. So all through my younger life, I realized that my dreams can come true, but I need to make it happen. And I don't wait for my phone to ring, because I know incoming calls are mostly asking for something, but an outgoing call means you're reaching out. So throughout my life, I've decided that I would not be impressed with myself, that I'm significant in my insignificance. And I'm an oboe player in the 16th row of the maestro's orchestra. I'm not the conductor, and I'm not the #1 violinist, but I'm up there in the 16th row playing my part. With that said, I've decided to treat everyone as if they deserved as much success as I do. So I feel I'm as good as the best, but no better than the rest. So I've never placed myself in comparison to anyone else. And by not comparing, I don't have an ego. So my ego is a taxi driver becomes a transportation executive, a waitress is a food service manager, and my gardener is a horticulturist. So my gardener, Jose, is as good as I am because he's so good at what he does, I marvel at his creativity. I've spent my life, and as far as my voice goes, actually it induces sleep. So I think the reason I've sold more audios is because people have insomnia. And if you'll put one of my CDs beside your bed and play it, you'll go right to sleep. At least that's what my kids say. Because they say when we're in the car, Dad, you give us road hypnosis. Is this your 30-minute or 45-minute lecture? So I have this somnambulistic average voice that Earl Nightingale said, you're not a radio voice. You're no Tony Robbins. You're not dramatic, but you know, there's something about you, Dennis, that's believable. So Not many people know my name, but some people in the airport say, I don't know who you are, but I think I remember hearing you before. And that's good enough for me. The inner winner for me is belief in potential. And when you're egotistical, you think you've arrived. You're a celebrity, you're an athlete, you're a business executive, you're somebody important. And it's very important to people with an ego to have other people clamor over them and love them. And so what they do is they set themselves up. And unfortunately, what happens is, as you even see from Agent 007, the original, that we get old and we get more insignificant. Coach John Wooden and I were in the back of an arena before he died. He was in his early 90s at the time. I was in my early 70s. And we noticed that he got a standing ovation when he walked up on the stage and when he came down. When I walked up on the stage, they looked at their program to see who I replaced. And then I worked very hard to create a standing ovation because the applause is an elixir to your ears. It becomes like almost like something that is a drug. So the endorphins you get from people giving you a standing ovation make you feel really good inside. We walked to the back of the arena, and the reason I'm telling this story is it was very significant in my life. He said, oh, by the way, have you noticed that no one is coming up to us and taking a picture, a selfie, because they don't know who we are now? Neither one of us is on stage. We're two older fellas having a cup of coffee in the back of an arena. We haven't been on national television enough to be known. And he said, enjoy the spotlight when you're in it, but you only get 14 to 17 minutes, as Andy Warhol said. So I've decided to spend my life with the inner winner. Self-esteem is the deep down inside the soul feeling of your own worth, regardless of your age, ethnicity, religious belief, and who you are, your gender. It's a belief that there's something inside of you that has to be sung. There's a song inside there that has to come out. And you need to dust off your childhood and find out what your natural talents are. They're probably hidden in a hobby. You're probably earning money to earn money, but you may not be earning money because you love the way you earn it. You may just like the money that you get. And one of the problems I have is trying to give people the billionaire mindset. If I knew what it was, I'd give it out freely, because it's taken me half of my lifetime just to create financial independence. So I try to tell people, believe in your dream when that's all you have to hang on to. Believe in your potential. And the most important meeting you'll ever attend is the one you attend alone with yourself. You're more critical of you than anyone. Your voice cuts through you like anyone. You're the one that criticizes you. You're the one that doesn't like the photos of you. You're the one that wishes you looked or were different, were younger, were better looking, were more capable, were an athlete, were a celebrity. You know all about you. We've been talking to ourselves for a long time. I urge you to listen to the way you explain your life to other people. And that's what I call my inner winner. When I talk to myself, I say, come on, Dennis, you're better than this. Come on, bad seeds, let's go. Stop. Be the first to apologize. Be the first to admit you were wrong. Be the first to reach out when you're afraid to call somebody because you're guilty. Be the one to connect. Be the one to give in. Be the one to give positive advice. And during this particular time of life, when we're all vulnerable, I've decided to be not part of the problem. So I'm not going to spread any bad news. I'm going to talk to people about what I'm doing in my life, my family is doing, what they can do. I'm going to give them any positive inputs I can to help them survive and thrive in a very challenging time. I'm going to bring my A game to the table when things are at their worst, because my best work was written at the lowest point in my life. And instead of writing about how important I was to succeed and make the money I did, I wasn't succeeding at all. I was divorced, a single father with the custody of 4 children, and they mutinied. My children wanted to go home to California. They didn't want to go with me to Pittsburgh in the worst winter to sell the Jonas Salk Foundation to the Mellon Foundation. And they went home. My teenage children said, Dad, come on, let's go home. And so I realized that I was losing while I was talking about winning. So I wrote the book for myself. I wrote the album for me. I was talking to me instead of telling other people how to win. I was reminding myself that I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm going to get my own house in order and change my own life. And that's why I believe that I'm as good as anyone who's ever been born, but no better than any. And I don't compare. And so that's why I believe that this conversation that we're having, as you listen and go over in your own mind, the fact that I'm not saying anything new or exciting is the fact that this inner conversation, we talk ourselves in and out of everything on a minute-to-minute basis. You never make a future decision, only a current decision that impacts everything from now on in this moment. Whatever you decide to think, whoever you decide to call, whatever you decide to do in this moment determines your entire future, because the call that you make, positive thing that you say, the person you help, the old person you help, the animal you help, the life that you help, will come back to you if you're giving more in value than you're receiving in payment. So my mantra is always give more in value than you receive in payment, and you'll be sought after. But don't try to put yourself in the center of the universe, because we're not in the center of the universe. We're somewhere out there on the horizon. And that's my soliloquy. But, you know, I really believe in psycholinguistics a lot. So I'm talking to myself constantly, meditation, prayer, call it what you want, but I'm reaching outside of me and pulling in to me the positive energy, and I'm speaking in positive terms. I try not to complain. I try instead to say, okay, let's go. That's not like you. Come on, what are we going to do today? And when I jump out of bed every day, I say, safe again, let's go. You're 87, Dennis, but hey, that's pretty young when you consider my uncle lived to be 107 and was the oldest guy to get a tattoo and to ride a roller coaster at 106. So I may not live to be 100, but I'm going to live every day as if it was my last. I'm going to plan for the worst, hope for the best, and expect to be surprised.
It's amazing. Dennis, you live and walk your talk so much. And as you were sharing different things, I've seen the garden that's beautiful. I've seen the way you interact with waitresses, and that's been over multiple visits over 15 to 17 years now. And it's one of the reasons that as many people as I have had the privilege to spend time with, you are one of the people that sit in the center of my heart, because, those of you who don't know, I'll tell you a little story and then ask you a question about linguistics, and we can talk about the album that's coming out too. So exciting. I put together an event in Dallas in my early 20s. It wasn't virtual, it was in a conference, and Dennis agreed to come on his own dime, and I thought I was going to have thousands of people there, and there were more like 70 people there, and I thought he would sell thousands of books. And Tim Brown, the Oakland Raider, came, and there were also some other kind of neat people, but Dennis was our headline. Ruben Gonzalez, the Olympic champion. We had some, but you were our headliner, and then the facility put some kind of dance party right next to where we were. So there started to be all this bass and banging and loud music, and I was really, my hands are sweating right now just thinking about how that went. And after the event, a few weeks later, Dennis and I spoke, and he said, hey, events are hard. Before you could fill up a room just with some names. It's not like that anymore. And he was like, you probably didn't profit, did you? And I said, no. And he goes, well, you probably lost money, didn't you? Probably owe some money even. And I said, yeah, I do. And I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. And because he flew himself in, got his own hotel, and the other speakers had done that as well. And many of them would have done that to be around Denis anyway. But so Denis was, and anyway, he said, well, how much do you owe? And I said, $1,000. And you sent me a check for $1,000. It's going to make me cry right now. And I just remember feeling so supported and so loved and so like, hey, you're on the right track and it's okay. And I still carry that with me as the representation of the deep truth of who you are. And I know we're all in a process. No one's perfect. We all have to practice. But I just appreciate and want to share with everyone that I haven't met anyone who so resonates and walks the things that you say. So, well, thank you.
Of course, I appreciate that, and you're very special to me. And you know, life is really interesting. My grandmother was the role model for me, and she gave me the most important. She said, you know, we're planting a victory garden. It was during World War II. We planted a garden, and I said, Grandma, this is really difficult. You see the seeds on the package, and the package shows carrots and all this stuff, but we just have a handful of seeds. We throw them in the ground, and the problem is I have to till and water, and the weeds blow in. They don't get any water, they don't need any water, and they come in every day. She said, well, weeds are always there. She said, you don't have to nurture them, but pull them aside, pull them out. Don't step on our flowers, don't step on our vegetables. I said, how do you know it'll come up? She said, those are the seeds of greatness. They were destined to reach their destiny, and when you plant them in the soil and take care of them, they grow into full potential. I said, wow. So the weeds will always show up? She said, yeah. And she said, oh, by the way, model yourself after people who serve life and other people, because celebrity dies easily and we get very lonely at the top when we find out there was nothing there after all, except more people trying to get to the top. You know, it's like a caterpillar pillar at the top. So the most important thing I've learned is if you love what you do, because you do what you love, you deliver more than you promise, and you always are gracious, gratitude filled with what you've been given. And instead of cursing the darkness, you seek the light, that things work out best for the people that make the best of the way things turn out. So when things happen to me, I say, so here we go, another test. Okay, give it to me, sock it to me. Let me see if I can handle this in my spiritual, my religious, my upbringing. But my grandma liked to plant roses, but she never entered one in a contest. I said, Grandma, those are the most beautiful, aromatic. They smell so good. They look so beautiful. Why don't you enter them in the contest? She said, because I didn't plant them to compare, to compete. I planted them for the sheer exhilaration of doing something I love and seeing it turn out, a gallery of one, my own self-respect based upon my own creation. I said, wow, you don't need a blue ribbon, a gold medal. You don't need, she said, no, just the beauty in itself is payment enough. So I've kind of lived my life that way, that instead of standing up and holding up my books and tapes, I never did one time. And I know that my contemporaries and everyone even watching this, we're all different. And of course you need to go through the noise. Of course you need to promote yourself amidst all the options that people have. Everyone is a coach, everyone is an expert, and everyone has an answer. And of course you need to self-promote to be heard. But for me, it's better to have the master of ceremonies stand up and say, you know, Denis wouldn't mention this, but we asked him to bring some material for our library, and he's consented to meet you back there and answer any questions about his work, but it's in our library. And if you like what he said today, he's very happy to have you join him. And maybe I didn't sell as much, but I ended up selling enough to make me financially independent without ever having to tell people how good my stuff was. I wanted them to see whether they thought it was, and then seek after me rather than have me tell them about myself. So I've never sent an email. Unfortunately, Adora, I'm never good at that. And Zig used to say to me, Dr. Waitley, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. Because Zig would say to the audience, you got my money in your pocket. I got your books and tapes in this bag. If you got cash and if you got two references in cash, I'll sign them in the back of the room. And everyone nudged each other and said, Zig's putting the clothes on us, master salesman. And he was, and he is, and he always will be. But he said, how come you don't talk about your stuff? I said, because Norman Vincent Peale, Paul Harvey, and Earl Nightingale, my mentor, told me to speak all I had to say and then shut up and see if anyone cared. But I would like to answer some specific questions because I have had 60 years of trial and error research in psycholinguistics, in the language of the mind.
Yes, let me check the chat, and I do have some questions. I want you all to know, some of you saw, I'm a hairstylist and can only jump in between clients. Okay, so some of you saw Roy Smooth yesterday, and we were talking about smooth mixes. And so today is the release of your album. And because Dennis doesn't send out emails, I convinced everybody to wait until we were already going to interview him so that you all could learn that we have an album of really cool music. It's like dance level album. And then you've got Denis Waitley dropping some of his most incredible, you weren't dropping it, but you were dropping it whenever you did, but it's mixed into the music and is live on Amazon today. So we're going to send that link out. And we've learned a lot about how listening to things can help shift the way the brain responds. And I'd love for you to share now about why are words important, and then words with music as far as our brain goes and change goes.
A long time ago, one of the Olympic trainers, there was Jacobs, there was Bandura of Stanford, there was Baginski, there was Basmazian, there was all the people from Bulgaria. Georgi Lazanov were talking about super learning, and they were teaching 6-year-olds how to memorize algebraic equations and calculus. And they found that when a certain kind of music was played, the alpha waves that you emit, when you slow the brain waves down, the right hemisphere becomes receptive to both the musical tone, which the right hemisphere usually responds to, but also the words go through and connect, and the left hemisphere gets quieted with the music. And to make a long story short, you become more receptive to inputs when you're relaxed, when your brain waves are slow, when you're meditating, when you're not trying to learn. If you'll notice, when actors and actresses are best at memorizing, they're walking around with the script, but they're doing it out loud. They're glancing at it, and then they're saying it out loud to themselves, and they get this spaced repetition. So I remember I was listening to music, and I took Rudyard Kipling's poem, Gunga Din. Now in India sunny clime, where I used to spend my time a servant of Her Majesty the Queen, of all the crew we had, the best I ever knew was our regimental beastie Gunga Din. Though I belted you and flayed you by the living God that made you, you're a better man than I am, Gunga Din. I learned that in 60 seconds by repeating it out loud to slow music, and it stuck. And I found that when I'm relaxed and listening, now remember, I grew up in radio, there was no television, so I'm already audiogenic, and so I have a phonographic memory in that if I hear something several times, I remember it forever. Unfortunately, oh, I think I've frozen.
No, you're here. We see you.
You're good.
Oh, yeah, I was frozen on my own screen.
Uh,
And it doesn't look good when you're looking at yourself and you're frozen, because then you notice your freckles and your blemishes.
Which are adorable.
Well, but let's get into it. Uh, so when you have a certain number of words and they're spoken in a certain way and they have emotion tied to them, there's a way to talk to yourself with all due respect that will connect and embed itself more than just a simple affirmation. We've all been in affirmations. I like myself. I'm a winner. I'm a billionaire. I'm the greatest. But when you put specificity in there, I weigh 180 pounds and still look good in a bathing suit. I like who I see when I look at me. I eat lean source protein. Water is my favorite fitness drink. I always arrive early at meetings. You know, I used to be Waitley come lately. I was always late. Now I'm always on time, except for today. But I always arrive early because I talked myself into being an early arriver. I did several things. I developed a new reversal of the way I was. So I developed confirming beliefs. And my confirming beliefs is I'm on time, I arrive early, I sit in the front row, I want to engage with the speaker. I don't want to sit in the back so I can leave early. I want to sit up front, I want to arrive early, I want to get there so I can be ready. I want to get to meetings early, I want to have a contingency plan. I want to prepare for traffic. I want to have a fully charged cell phone. I want my gas tank to be half full. The traffic, maybe I'll have an alternate flight. So I've done all that. So I've put the plans into being, but the language that I've used on myself has been absolutely helpful throughout my life. I rarely get angry, and if I feel anger, I do feel it. I try to release it through some kind of physical impact. I try to do some meditating. I try to breathe deeply before I respond with an angry thought or an angry, because I know I can't take back my glance, my mean look at my kids, or something that I said or didn't say. So I try to take a deep breath, get gross physical impact exercise, but I think 6 to 8 words. First person, I believe in the 5 Ps. Positive, my goals need to be expressed in positive terms. Don't try to lose weight, become your desired look, weight, body, style, become who you want to be rather than lose what you don't want to be. I'm a rhino. When I get on the scale, it says, will one of you please get off? I don't know, there's just something about me that I see banana cream pie and I gain 5 pounds. I know people who talk themselves into psychosomatic illnesses, asthma, psychosomatic asthma, not real asthma. So I know that the words have a powerful impact. And the way I know that is I've been using biofeedback equipment for 40 years. I have an electromyograph to check my muscle spasms. I have an electroencephalograph to check my brain waves. I have a digital thermometer to check my surface temperature. I have a galvanic skin response to connect my lie detector sweating. And I realize that when I say things like, the big black snake slithered across the floor and up the back of your chair, ooh, hummingbirds in your hair. When I say that, those instruments go off as if they were really happening. And I said, well, wait a minute. No, I'm only saying it. I don't mean it. I just said it. Doesn't make any difference to your body. There's an immediate autonomic response in the fight or flight mechanism that creates this ability to push back or flee when you think of a saber tooth. So a positive explanatory style is fundamentally important for you to get the hormones, the chemistry set, the electrical set of success. Because every time you have a dangerous feeling or a dangerous thought, you get adrenaline, you get epinephrine, you get keyed up, you make mistakes, you run, you push, you fight, you yell. You become who you don't want to be, because when things get tough, you want to be in control. And so that's why I believe that if you can learn to relax by listening to music that maybe about 1 beat per second, da 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 da, Baroque music, 1700s. Count Kaiserling sent for Bach, bring me my harpsichordist, I have a migraine. And they would play beautiful music, and people would sit in straight back chairs in stifling heat with tight bone corsets for 4 hours listening to beautiful music that took them on a journey. The journey is in your mind. The music sets you up for relaxation. It opens you up so you don't push back on what you're listening to. And the way you speak to yourself in your own voice. I weigh 180. If I'm a woman, I say I weigh 125, 130, whatever your desired weight is. My breathing is relaxed and effortless. My stomach is warm. My heartbeat is slow and regular. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. Sounds like affirmation to me, but you really have to believe it. You really have to be talking to you, and you really have to be visualizing the person you want to be in your own mind in virtual reality. So I taught the Olympians how to do within when they're doing without. I took the POW, the way the POWs were talking to themselves for 5 to 7 years in solitary confinement. I began to study why the astronauts are always going through simulation for over 2 years before they get to go in the space capsule. Why? Because they can create muscle memory. They're reflexive. They recall what they've learned. They don't try to go to the moon. They've been there in their imagination so many times. And that's why visual motor behavioral rehearsal needs to be you rehearsing your best performance on a daily basis. And your brain cannot distinguish between virtual reality and reality, and it cannot distinguish the dress rehearsal from opening night. So it's just as important for you to make the rehearsal your practice. Practice makes permanent. Only perfect practice makes perfect. I've been practicing my mistakes for 50, 60 years. So it took me at least a year to overcome my bad habits by superimposing good habits on top of the old program. You don't erase anything that's ever happened. It's all there. You superimpose a new software program, and that is called rewiring your brain, which I only learned in the past 3 or 4 years is possible in an 87-year-old man like me. I can relearn to rewire this old brain to walk straight up, to look in front of me instead of down, to not walk bent over. I can learn to memorize better. I can remember things better. I can rewire my brain by the way I talk to myself in repetition. And that's basically the other thing, Adora, what's really funny is unless you're a permanent student, you can't be a coach, because I never realized that the millennials did not want to dive deep into self-awareness and go through a 4-hour self-awareness workshop program to get to the real meat of it. I didn't realize how quickly the brains work in younger people today. I didn't realize how important their smartphone is and how quickly they maneuver, how important it is to get the information out in bites and pieces. So people are not going to sit through a weekend with Denis Waitley, but they may listen to a song that they like in their own venue. I thought it was the strangest thing that I ever heard, to hear dance music with "If You Think You Can, You Can," and "I Believe in Me and I Believe in My Potential." However, we all learn in different ways. We need to teach in different ways. We need to understand our audience. We need to understand how their brains work. And we can't use the old way to teach people in the new age. We have to be in tune and in harmony with them. So I don't know what's going to happen to the Inner Winter musical album. I know Jim Rohn did very well. I know Zig did pretty well, and maybe Les Brown and others, many others did. I know even Jordan Peterson, who many people maybe don't like because he's so pragmatic about his beliefs, but I know that people are recording to music, and younger people are learning faster that way than they would if they had to sit through a boring 2-hour video. That I've learned. I've also learned that this Inner Winter app at least teaches people the right way to talk to yourself. So what I'm telling everyone viewing is create the reversal of what your problem is in your mind. I was always late. I'm always on time. Okay, I'm an on-time person. You may not believe it, but after a year of practice, it'll become automatic, like brushing your teeth or driving your car. It'll be ingrained as the new you if you practice it.
I have a surprise for you, and I know that we've got to preserve your voice. One, you're amazing. Everything is amazing. Guys, the Inner Winter app has affirmations set to the tones and the music that Dennis has studied to figure out how the brain will most take those new thoughts in. It's really cool. So you can check that out in the App Store. On Amazon, the album is Inner Winter with Denis. If you look up Denis Waitley, you will find it. I'm also going to send the link out over the next few days. But the surprise is someone that you have not met in like this kind of face-to-face. So we need Mr. Don Green is up next. And so he's sharing, he's got the screen share. Let me take off the screen share. This is technology because let me see. Let me stop his screen share. Do you want to continue? Yep. Okay, that's all right. Hey, Don, we're sharing your screen and I don't think we mean to. Let me see. Stop participant sharing. Okay, there we go. Let me get out of there. And let me just, I think what happened is because I made him a host. So I'll withdraw the co-host just so we don't end up with that. But then Don is a little further. So Don, when you're ready, we'd love to see your face and let you there's Don's face. Okay, so let me, I wish I could pin both of you. So here's how I'm going to do it. And I'm going to unpin Dennis's video. So Dennis and Don, before we move over to talking about sex transmutation and outwitting the devil and these Napoleon Hill principles, I know that you've been a longtime fan of Denis Waitley. Denis Waitley's a longtime fan of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. You guys have met on the phone a few times now, and we're still working on some collaborations. But do you two want to say hello before we let Dennis off?
I want to say hello to Don. Don, you know I love what you do, and Earl Nightingale introduced me to Napoleon Hill, and Abraham Maslow, Jonas Salk introduced me to Maslow, introduced me in person to Viktor Frankl and to some of the thought leaders. But what you've done with the Napoleon Hill Foundation and in your own right, I really honor, and I'm really happy that you're following me, because I always like to be a lounge singer for the main event.
Well, Dennis, I listened to you. I bought your cassettes when I was driving an old 56 Chevrolet, working for a finance company as a collector, making $1.15 an hour. And my wife packed peanut butter and jelly, but I bought those cassettes. You, Ed Foreman, Napoleon Hill, Zig Ziglar, a long list of them, and over and over and over did I listen to them. And I heard you talking about being prompt. I've worked all day, and I've had the computer on since 1, and I didn't get the Zoom link. I've been ready though. I've been ready. I'm ready and I got a little bit of what you're talking about, talking to yourself to reverse, and that was always a part of my class. I taught 12 times here at the University of Virginia, but I'm ready for some questions or some conversation or whatever, because I enjoy this. I know everybody might think they got a good job, I told my assistant the other day, I said, Zane, you got the second best job in the world. And I got the best. It's a story in itself. How I got the job.
I know it is. Before I sign off, Adora, I want to thank everyone. I'm looking at Robert, and I'm looking at everyone, all of you, and I want to tell you how honored I am to be in your company, to be on this program with you and Adora. And I'm just another student, listening, watching, and I'm going to stay on as a listener for a while. And Adora, thank you so much for having me, and thank all of you for listening to the long story of from boy with grandma to the Olympian within. You know, as chairman of psychology for the Olympics, I watched Olympians figure out for themselves their own way of practicing within while they were without. And the gold medal came to those who were prepared and who put in the time and put in the effort. The inner winner. I'd rather be an inner winner than an outer shouter.
Yes.
That's it.
Dora, before you let them go, I'm gonna be a fanboy for a second. And I know this is
Real
crazy
quick
because I'm a
second, because
chief.
we only, yeah.
No,
real quick.
I'm just gonna take a screenshot because I want Dennis and Don on the same screenshot with Leffert Fade. I'm
Okay,
just doing
do
it.
it. Okay, do it. That's awesome. That's
did it.
awesome. Fanboy move. I knew I could trust you.
Okay,
Did you get the screenshot?
I'm gonna mute myself so I can just pay attention.
All right, awesome. And then I'm gonna pin this video, and that was amazing, Leffert. Thank you. I knew I should have known. So Don, so great to have you here today.